All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Friday morning after the debate. Now, first of all, how CNN handled the debate was suspect to say the least. And the Democrats, they claimed real bad that they wanted Biden to debate Trump, knowing this was going to happen. Now, I got a different take on it this morning because I'm watching Joy Reid and the other Democratic pundits and shields throw Joe Biden under the bus. But for the last several months, they've been telling the public we haven't been seeing what we've been seeing. Don't believe our lying eyes. We've been seeing Joe Biden fumble, trip, fall, poop his pants, not knowing where he was at, have to have Obama take him off the stand. We've been seeing that this man is succumbing to his age and senility and dementia. They knew that. And they told us it was a deep fake and it was fake news, what we were seeing. But as the public and all of the American people seen it, we know they seen it. So what was their end game in this? Because now they're throwing him under the bus. They say the Democrats are panicking because of his performance. They saying he's not equipped to do the job of the presidency. But we all been seeing that. We've been seeing that. So it's surprising that MSNBC and the CNN pundits are going so hard on him. They throwing him under the bus. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew that he didn't have the mental wherewithal for a debate. Now, on the flip side, they saying everything that Trump said is a lie. But Trump hammered home about the migrant crisis. You know, they like to say everything that Trump say is a lie. But if you watched it and seen it, he wasn't lying. He was staying on point with what the people are concerned with. He wasn't politicking like they were trying to politic. So I want y'all to watch this clip with me. And I want y'all to pay special close attention to Joy Reid. Because Joy Reid has been the main Biden supporter talking about there was nothing wrong with his mental capabilities. Well, last night proved that wasn't so. So this for fair usage under the 1976 Copyright Act for commentary and education. Look at how dirty the Dems play the game. Watch how they turn it on Joe Biden.
Sure. Yeah, I can relate to having a cold. I have a negative COVID test and a slight cold as well. So I understand not feeling well. And, obviously Joe Biden comes in with certain deficits. He has a stutter. It is more difficult for him to communicate for that reason. So there's a lot to mitigate the way that he speaks, and you can understand it. And we've observed him for a long time. That said, I too was on the phone throughout much of the debate with Obama world people, with Democrats, with people who are political operatives, with campaign operatives. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. And I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. President Biden had one job tonight, and it was one primary job. And yes, it was to litigate Donald Trump's, criminality and all of those things. But he had to settle his own party. Mm-hmm. He needed to settle Democrats. Democrats, they always talk about Democrats are bedwetters and Democrats are always panicking. Yes, Democrats are always panicking. They're always scared, right? They're always thinking they're going to lose. Like Democrats are very pessimistic. This is just neurotic. Who they are. They're neurotic. But Joe Biden's job was to reassure them tonight. His job was to calm his party, to make them feel that, yes, I can do this. I have 4 more years in me. I have the...
Now, this is pure spin because They have been watching Joe Biden for months as he deteriorates. At this point, it's almost elder abuse. And for her to come out there and say he had one job, which was to convince the public that he was able to do the job, they knew he couldn't do that. So this is the last minute bait and switch. And I guarantee you, they're going to come up with a new candidate in the next month. You know, they might even try to act like they begging Michelle Obama to come and run so that she can shore up the women's vote or the black women's vote, which will be disastrous because it's sad to say, and I'm just being honest, it's not enough black women for her to win. I mean, black women will definitely turn out in droves to vote for Michelle Obama, but it won't be black men. It won't be Latino women. It won't be Asian American women. It definitely won't be white men and white women. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to let them turn the White House into Big Mama's kitchen. So there's no telling what trick they're going to come up with next. But it's real strange to see how Joy Reid, his number one attack dog, has been sent out to throw him under the bus. Continue to watch.
Ability and the stamina and the strength to do 4 more years. He did not do that. He did the opposite of that. He made them more panicked. Mm-hmm. The people who were texting me were even more panicked. They actually expected it to be better than it was. And now they're in I won't say a full-fledged panic, but it's getting there.
And are people that you're talking to who are expressing these concerns, are these people who are involved in Democratic politics, or yes, are these liberals watching TV?
These are not liberals watching TV. These are campaign people. Mm-hmm. These are people who are either Democratic operatives. These are people who were former, sort of Obama world administration people. These are people who are in the business.
Okay.
So the civilians are also panicking.
She's talking about people like APEC, the donors, the lobbyists that's been investing money in this campaign. They're looking at it now like there's no way that Joe Biden can win, because I'm quite sure that the American people, y'all not so Trump deranged that y'all would vote for somebody that's clearly senile and in stages of dementia to run a country with this many problems. So you got to read between the lines with how Joy Reid is talking, because if you go to her channel and look at the last several months of her broadcasting, she's been talking about how there's nothing wrong with him psychologically and how fit and strong he is to do the job. Now, all of a sudden, the whole Democratic Party is panicking and calling her phone. Clearly, this is a shenanigan. Let's watch some more.
So texting me, but I was trying to kind of ignore the civilians and really talk to the campaign folks. People are they're worried, and there is, it's not a full drumbeat yet, but there is talk of, look, here's the thing. I know a lot of politicians. I just happen to know a lot of them at a lot of levels. They all believe that they have a unique ability to run the race that they passionately want to run. And I know for a fact that Joe Biden passionately believes that he is the only person who can beat Donald Trump. And he has evidence of it because he did it before.
Right.
He knows that he has certain demographic strengths that Donald Trump cannot counter. He is the real working class white guy that's actually Donald Trump's base. So he knows how to talk to them. He believes that he is the only person that can do it. The problem is, after tonight, his party doesn't believe that.
I want to hear from Lawrence and Chris as well. I first want to go to our colleague Alex Wagner, who is on site in Atlanta.
But the thing is, he didn't do anything different than what he's been doing. When he went to Pennsylvania, he was stumbling and fumbling. Every time he gets on Air Force One, he falls. He was in France, pooped his pants. This was a setup. And over here on this channel, when they agreed to let him debate, I knew it was a setup to remove him. Joe Biden will not be running for president in November. And with the lawfare they're waging against Trump, they playing a whole different type of dirty politics. You know what I mean? It's almost like this is one big psych op on the American people. We're not seeing what we're seeing. You know what I mean? You ever watched the movie 84 when they was telling the people, even if they show you three fingers, you have to say it's four? They're making you not believe in the realities that you're seeing. And it's by design. This is just some more Joy Reid. Or this Rachel Maddow on his
Been watching the debate in the spin room. Alex, what's the reaction that you've been hearing there?
I'm not going to put a fine sheen on it or a spin on it, even though I'm in the spin room, Rachel. There has been a uniformly negative reaction to Biden's performance tonight. Surely, as you know, Joy said, this was about revealing who Donald Trump was, but it was also Joe Biden battling a caricature of himself as an enfeebled person, an impression that Trump has been eager to convey to the country, and he did nothing to disabuse, I think, the country of the notion that he is very old and was lost frequently in that debate. I mean, on answers that should have been, to put it bluntly, a layup for him, whether it was abortion or the attack on abortion medication, his answers were rambling and incoherent. He turned a response on abortion into a mention of migrant killing. I mean, this is a person that clearly was over.
I still can't believe that in this so-called Christian nation, their whole policy is about abortion medication. They offer no other policies. But then they say that the United States is having a population problem, and this is one of the reasons they want immigrants in. You know, the closer we get to November, the stranger this is going to get.
Prepared and had a lot of different points that were sort of swimming around in his head, and as a result, it felt like the answers that were legible, if you will, were not nearly delivered with the force and the clarity that they should have been. And I will say, Donald Trump was in some ways the most Trumpy he has been lately, full of lies and misinformation. But it was almost an afterthought. I think the press that I've spoken with and the sort of the focus in this room is just, the Biden campaign wanted this debate. This was their idea. And this is what happened as part of their strategy. It is confounding. We were told earlier this evening that the Biden spin team would be only making brief remarks in the room. And I don't know whether that is indicative of a group of people who understood the weaknesses that their candidate had in advance of this debate, but you can surely understand the logic of that.
What if I told you investing wasn't just for the suits and ties? It's for everyday folks like after the fact.
Alex, we've just had confirmation while we have been speaking with you just this moment that in just a moment, we're going to have Vice President Kamala Harris joining us live. So that's going to happen here just within a matter of moments. Lawrence, I also want to get your response. I think one of the interesting things that Alex said there was that some of the poor coherence and poor answers from Donald Trump are being viewed as standard Trump and therefore not newsworthy, while the performance from President Biden is being viewed as newsworthy because it came in below expectations.
Yeah, in any sort of normal universe, you would think the candidate who during the presidential debate said, "I didn't have sex with a porn star," was the loser of that debate.
Yeah.
That would be the normal scorecard. So let's just remember that so far, the only thing we've been concentrating on here is optics, that thing we call optics, and in this case also audio because of the aging voice of Joe Biden. But the question is that we don't know the answer to is voters out there who went into this debate thinking they're for Biden or they're for Trump or thinking whatever they were thinking. What in this debate of substance that was true, if anything, moved their vote? So if you really wanted to look at it in terms of what is it supposed to be, it's supposed to be an illuminating forum in which you learn something about a candidate that you didn't know before that is true. Not that you learn a lie from the candidate. That's not what the objective is. But given that the optics is the way the game is played, what we don't yet know, and we'll know in polling a week from now or so, is what was the effect of all of this?
Mhm.
What was the effect of the guy who said, I did not have sex with the porn star? What was the effect of the convicted criminal candidate pointing to the other candidate and calling him a criminal?
One thing about MSNBC, if they get some dirt on you, they're going to slander you. He is slanderous. He had to repeat that twice. Like, I did not have sexual relations with that prostitute. He kind of sounds like Bill Clinton. Remember? I did not have relations with that woman. Like Bill Clinton said, he didn't know that head was sex, But you see how salacious they keep trying to be in the face of, at the same time, throwing Joe Biden under the bus. So what now? They got to go back to their bench and find a squeaky clean Democrat. Good luck with that.
What is the effect of all of that back and forth? And I think we're guessing about what the effect is of the realization that Joe Biden is actually as old as his birth certificate says he is. His voice is that old too, but he's 10 years younger than Warren Buffett. And both of them have a job that is essentially making decisions. And what was not shown to me in a way that was true in that debate is that Joe Biden has made bad decisions in the presidency. I don't see the set of bad decisions. And what was done in the Biden presidency was certainly underdeveloped in a debate where you never heard the word infrastructure, for example. Like, it was pretty underdeveloped as this went on. And that has a lot to do with the nature of the rules of these debates.
I think what you just put your finger on, to me, is sort of the whole issue around where we find ourselves. The job of the president is making decisions. The job of a presidential candidate is to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. That's the job. It's a communications job. It is talking to people and communicating them, persuading them, trying to get people who don't agree with you. And I think Joe Biden has a very good record on making decisions, and I think he's a very poor communicator right now. And that inability to communicate, I mean, I see this all the time. We will cover things on our show all the time. This big OPEC oil trade they did, where they bought high, they bought oil very cheap, and then they sold very high. They made all this money and kind of broke the back of OPEC. And people say, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's cool. Joe Biden should be the person communicating that. Joe Biden is not good at communicating his own record.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context of a campaign right now, his job, number one, is communicating. So that, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think you're right about the decision making, but I think the reason that there is all this, anxiety and all this stuff is because ultimately, and particularly in the television age, a lot of the presidency is communicating, but particularly when you're running for re-election, when it is the thing that is the most important thing.
But there's another job of the and this is even pre the television era. There's a reason that FDR was never shown in his wheelchair. There's a reason that John F. Kennedy pretended to be a vigorous man when he was certainly not. And Kennedy accelerated it, and I think Reagan super accelerated it because he was an actor and he was a Hollywood figure. And it's only gotten more intense until we got to President Obama, who became popular partly because rap artists were taking his speeches and turning them into hit music video. It's accelerated, but it was even true during the Roosevelt era. The president is an avatar for the American people.
Right.
And the American people have a very high opinion of themselves. The American people think of themselves, this country invented the concept of the superhero for a reason. Because the American people think we're Captain America. They think we're strong, they think we're robust, and they want their president to look that way. If William Howard Taft had lived in an era where they saw pictures of the president, he wouldn't have been the president. Mm-hmm. Americans want the president to represent them in the world in a certain way that has vigor, that has strength. Al Gore was a brilliant man, an excellent decision maker, made excellent decisions as vice president. Americans didn't care. They wanted the guy they thought was cooler. That's just real talk about Americans and about American voters. And so to your point, Joe Biden, yes, you can look at his record, and it is factually one of the best records of any modern president. It is a top 10 president's record. But you can't become president again when America looks at you and that avatar to them looks broken.
Well, let's not pretend this is a good thing.
Right.
Let's just remember that what's happened here is imagery has taken control of the way we see presidential campaigns.
Yes.
FDR could not possibly have survived a debate like this at any time, and he was arguably our best president. Could not possibly have done it. He was in much worse physical shape in his last presidential campaign, and was in effect much older, because he turns out he was in the last year of his life in his last presidential campaign, which he won. But we don't have a better government because we've turned to the most superficial components of politics to decide our candidates. If we did that in the 1940s, FDR would not have been president, and good luck with World War II.
Can I say?
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me.
So you see the rhetoric, as if we all weren't on the edge of our seats waiting to see Joe Biden come out there and do exactly what he did. Nobody was surprised to see Joe Biden fumbling and going through his ailment. But it's so strange that the Democrats want to play to the public as if they're surprised. It was a setup to move him out the way so that they can put in a candidate that they think can win. And I think this ideal is going to serve them badly. I think it's going to fail, because at this point, their credibility with the people, unless you just a slave to the blue, it's not going to work. They're lying too much. They're too duplicitous. They have no loyalty, not even with each other. You see how another Democrat ran against Bowman and lost, and all the trouble going on in the Democratic Party. They're imploding on themselves. You have too many greedy politicians and not enough pork to go around. So, this just was my first take, and I wanted to deal with Joy Reid, the first generation American that they keep putting out there on the front line for whatever reason. I have no idea. So that's it for now. Signing to you out of Detroit. This is Detroit's HPTV. Support Detroit's Black Thought and Action Collective. It's the nonprofit out of Detroit. The Cash App is in the description. As always, salute to all patriots and keep y'all head on the swivel. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.